Hi, and welcome to today's session on Arista Professional Services and accelerating cloud deployment, migration, and operations using PS. I'm Dylan Green, the head of Arista's global PS team, and I have with me today Naveen and Alex, who will join me later in the session. So what is professional services? Arista Professional Services is a design and delivery capability that helps customers accelerate their network deployments, migrations, and operations through our network and software services, program management, and Arista certified ACSP partners. PS is Arista networking experience, expertise, methodologies, tools, and collateral available on demand to help customers optimally leverage all of the networking capabilities Arista offers with speed and precision. PS is solid network engineering made available on demand. Professional services always starts with an understanding of our customers' priorities, requirements, and objectives. Then we execute against an actionable plan to reach those objectives and deliver tangible, concrete outcomes and deliverables. Those priorities may include things such as design criteria, deployment timelines, migration scenarios, software functionality, or other outcomes PS can build a plan against and deliver as an outcome. As seen from a recent North American Network Operator Group presentation, many networks experienced dramatic traffic shifts in the first half of 2020 and had to quickly respond to maintain business continuity and adapt to a rapidly changing environment. How efficiently were you able to respond to the changing capacity and traffic flow requirements networks experienced over this period? Overall, how quickly were you able to adapt to new applications, changing requirements, usage patterns, and the needs of users of the network infrastructure you design and operate? How well has your network team been able to automate your network and workflows to adapt to the needs and requirements of developers for their business applications? Do changes take minutes or hours, or are they measured in days, weeks, and months? Is your network team viewed as an agile enabler of business or as a cost center? Customers engage PS to help de-risk and accelerate networking projects. Professional Services provides numerous advantages by leveraging our leading design practices, experience, expertise, methodology, collateral, deliverables, and our talent to help our customers deploy, migrate, and enable optimized automated network operations. By helping customers achieve their objectives through our structured engagements, we help ensure Arista networking projects are delivered on time and with predictable outcomes. So how do we do this? We do this with solid network and software engineering. This is the core of our practices. PS develops and gives our customers access to a set of knowledge that we create, constantly are curating, and build on through our extensive experience as Arista and through the many networks PS engineers have deployed, migrated, and automated on projects and engagements we've performed and are constantly learning from. PS makes these available through offerings that translate this practice into outcomes with the goal of ensuring that the full value and functionality of Arista is actually leveraged and experienced by our customers. These outcomes are delivered through the talent we have within Arista, which is extended through our ACSP Arista Certified Service Partner SDEs or Service Delivery Engineers. We have our professional services offers organized by network, software, and lifecycle services to help with different stages of the network design, build, automation, and operations process. Engagements can be tailored in a statement of work across a full range of our services as needed to deliver the exact outcomes required. Network consulting services are focused on de-risking planning and design, deployment, and network migrations, while software consulting services are designed around automating workflows, extending EOS and CloudVision through EOS extensions, custom CVP applications, and third-party integrations, along with supporting many of the Arista open source project efforts. To deliver these services and outcomes, Arista Professional Services, EOS Plus software, and ACSP SDEs, or Service Delivery Engineers, will engage with you on your project. This can be either remote or on-site, and our engineering team brings significant experience and expertise across multiple subject matter areas, including deep Arista engineering and deployment experience, migration and operations experience, come from backgrounds such as enterprise, service provider, and cloud networking, engineering and operations, software engineering, and DevOps. We also have multi-vendor experience, extensive program and project management and governance, and other skills relevant to your project. Using these different skills available across our PS engineering resources, PS is able to elastically expand and contract the resources needed on a given project to make sure the right skill set is available for the task at hand during each stage and deliverable on a particular project. This allows us to efficiently deliver the result of the project we need to achieve. And now, Naveen will take us through accelerating a cloud deployment using Arista Professional Services.
Thanks, Dylan. We'll now see how you can leverage professional services and Cloud Vision to accelerate your deployment in 6 steps. How can you really bring down the deployment cycles from weeks or months to hours or even minutes, right? In addition to deployments, we'll also see how to quickly get your network set up for cloud-like next-gen operations. More importantly, we'll see how to make IT more than just a cost center. So let's dive right into it. Step one is to understand the environment profile. This will dictate the type of services you would want to engage Arista PS for. You could either have an existing Arista environment where you're adding new devices and expanding the current install base, or you could have a legacy environment that's been there for 5, 6, or even like 10 plus years, and you're going through like a full network refresh. Or in some cases, you could also have a standard greenfield or a brownfield type setting as well. So we offer deployment and migration services that caters to any of these environment types. So as an example here, if you have a new greenfield environment and an Arista deployment that's coming up, we would recommend like engaging PS right from the start. We can really help de-risk the whole deployment process and also facilitate seamless adoption of Arista. Step two is the formal start of the PS engagement itself. It's really the start of the consultative relationship with the customer. You will now have a dedicated PS engineer who would work alongside your network infrastructure team through the full engagement lifecycle. So it starts with the requirements gathering and the discovery phase, wherein you'll have a series of workshops that's led by the PS consultant. The goal here would be to collaboratively work with your team to establish well-formed requirements for the deployment. Following that, we'll move on to the design phase, wherein we'll translate the business and technical requirements into high-level and low-level designs, along with corresponding documentation. We will ensure that all of the PS standard leading recommended practices, they're all incorporated into both the HLD and the LLD. So at this point, PS consultant can be seen, like more like an extension of your own team, who brings in a lot of experience and expertise that's needed for the deployment. Step three is all about Cloud Vision enablement. So the key here is to get Cloud Vision installed before the hardware deployment itself. So this is to ensure we leverage the zero-touch provisioning for deployment and new device onboarding. Cloud Vision is much more than any traditional network management tools you may be familiar with. In that, it offers like rich set of day zero, day one provisioning features. Plus, it also comes with powerful day two operations and monitoring functions that leverages network-wide telemetry information. From a usability perspective, the workflows for both provisioning and monitoring, they're all very, very intuitive, and it's really easy for anyone new to pick it up. So getting Cloud Vision installed upfront, it sort of helps start the deployment itself on the right foot. Not that you can't get Cloud Vision deployed post the hardware installation. Of course, it's definitely possible. But in order to be able to, take full advantage of the product right from the start, it's best to use Cloud Vision to bring up the whole network rather than, trying to retrofit it later on. So as a matter of fact, we see a majority of PS engagements, they all leverage Cloud Vision for deployments. Moving on to step four. Step four is to tune and get Cloud Vision integrated into your systems and workflows. So as you start rolling out large networks with potentially hundreds or even like thousands of devices, you will start seeing the value of Cloud Vision even more. You can either leverage the native built-in automation functions that Cloud Vision offers to onboard new devices with a few mouse clicks, or you can also build like a true zero-touch solution with no clicks at all. Now, what do I mean by that? So the ZTP process would be something like this, right? The device would show up in the undefined container, and based on its serial number or the system MAC address, the device type gets automatically identified. For example, it could be like a compute leaf or a storage leaf. Once the device type is identified, the full device specific configurelet is automatically generated on the fly, and the device would get placed in the right target container. Plus, it will also download the correct EOS image. So all this process happens with no mouse clicks at all, right? So all that the rack and stack team needs to do is to ensure that device is racked up, powered, and cabled up. And the entire provisioning process, that would all happen automatically. In addition to native automation function, you can also leverage EOS Plus capabilities to do any sort of customized integration with your tools by leveraging CloudVision APIs. In fact, a lot of customers have stopped using their legacy and like traditional deployment models now, and CloudVision has become more of a de facto standard for any new Arista deployment. Step 5. Now that we have deployed the network with CloudVision, how do we leverage CloudVision for day 2 operations, right? So CloudVision offers a number of features and workflows for day 2 monitoring and operations. I'm not going to go into the details of each one of these, but we have rich set of like telemetry and analytics functions. We also have change control feature that's very, very handy for maintenance windows. Plus, there is a compliance dashboard that helps you to assess the security posture of your network. Plus, we also have a very powerful network constraint events feature that's aimed at validating, like network design rules and much more. Step 6. So, what are the deliverables that PS leaves behind, right? So, the artifacts that we leave behind. So, these are, like more than standard design documents itself, which merely serve as a reference material. Of course, we do produce design documentation, but in addition to the documentation, you now have a fully operational network. Plus, you also have CloudVision instance that's been, like fully customized with repeatable set of workflows. So you now have workflows for onboarding new devices. You have workflows that has been set up for day 2 sort of like deployment tasks, like such as like VLAN addition, access port configs, and so on. Plus, you also have workflows that's been set up for day 2 operations using telemetry. Now, with CloudVision doing most of the heavy lifting, it really allows the customer to focus on what's important for the business rather than, like investing time for the infrastructure bring up and operations. The end result here is that you have a much faster and a more responsive and agile IT. So to summarize, what's the outcome of the 6 steps we just covered, right? The infrastructure team would now be seen as real business enabler rather than the team that invests cycles in deployments and operations, right? So how is all this possible? The combination of professional services and CloudVision makes this whole thing possible. You can leverage CloudVision to both accelerate your deployments from a deployment perspective, plus you can also use it for your day 2 operations functions by leveraging telemetry. So with the combination of professional services and CloudVision, your infrastructure team is now, like fully enabled to adapt to changing business and other external factors. Now, with that, let me hand it back to Dylan.
All right. Thank you, Naveen, for taking us through the steps to simplify an Arista deployment leveraging CloudVision. A question that often comes up when we're talking with different networking teams and business stakeholders is how often the team is engaged in modernizing or deploying net new business critical applications and the infrastructure that supports them. If this isn't something that is done often, it can come with some perceived risk and everything that comes along with that. Often, when the end state is understood, the effort needed to reach it can benefit from the established practices and experience Arista PS, who do these types of projects all of the time, has developed, which can really help accelerate and mitigate risk on projects like these. Now I'll take us through the Arista PS deployment methodology. At a high level, Arista Professional Services projects follow a structured methodology which starts with capturing and analyzing specific requirements, which are then traced through the rest of the design and deployment process and aligned to the ongoing day 2 operation of the network. Each phase of an Arista PS project includes specific deliverables, from the customer requirements document, high-level, low-level design documents, which all flow the initial requirements through to the detailed design and then are implemented via CloudVision. CloudVision deployment deliverables include not only the simple installation of CloudVision, but rendering the actual design through configlets, which can later align with day 2 network operational tasks, the container structures and other structures needed for device provisioning. The requirements and design are then validated by our network ready for use or automated testing, along with any steps needed for deployment change controls. Knowledge transfer is provided throughout our engagements, as well as an operations handoff, including runbooks. So now, with the network deployment delivered with Arista PS's deployment methodology and leveraging CloudVision, we often see networks that need to be migrated from their legacy state to their new Arista environment. This type of migration can come with some perceived risks and complexity, such as the perceived cost and risk of changing network designs, vendors, and technologies, even when it's agreed that the end state is desired. There are questions around will there be any interruption of day-to-day operations or services on the network or other disruptions? How do you manage the environment during the migration when it's in a hybrid state during the migration itself, partially migrated? Establishing the appropriate governance, and does the team have the required skills and organizational alignment and bandwidth to take on a project like this? What is the safest approach and procedure to migrate from your specific legacy environment to your new Arista network? Often, the teams we work with may do a large-scale design, vendor, or technology migration somewhat infrequently, perhaps once every 5, 7, or even 10 years, and not every engineer on the team may have worked on a business-critical infrastructure migration before, which can contribute to the perceived risk of undertaking such a project, even when the benefits of the desired outcome are known. Arista Professional Services performs these types of migrations constantly, and has a vast amount of experience, which is captured in our migration practice, which can then be made available to your organization for your migration project. Our engineers have not only deep Arista experience and expertise, but also have backgrounds with other technologies and can bring all of these skills to bear to make the migration execution smoothly. Our migration methodology uses structured steps to move from the design and build through the capture of the migration requirements, which can include things like understanding traffic flows, network services, analyzing current and future connectivity, and uses this to develop a migration plan which can be validated to ensure the migration steps can be performed with the necessary level of precision needed to avoid a service disruption. This planning allows us to leverage CloudVision to automate the migration. Then we can move on to network integration and executing the actual migration changes themselves with minimal risk. Depending on the type of environment you have today and other parameters, such as space, power, cooling, and other factors, different approaches may need to be considered for a given migration. Two main categories, one being build and move is used if there is sufficient rack and floor space available and the Arista IP fabric can be built and validated completely prior to cutting over services and applications, and results in a relatively deterministic outcome and minimized risk. Alternatively, if space is constrained, rip and replace migrations are often used, which may require some additional physical activity to move from legacy devices and can leverage CloudVision configlets and CVP provisioning at the time of the cutover to automate the procedure and manage the risk. Using the migration practice, risk can be managed and the migration translated into a project plan and set of KPIs to track quality and deliver a precision migration. For example, any change should be right the first time at least 90% of the time. We should see early life failures less than 1% of the time. We should not deviate from a high precision validated migration plan or change procedure more than 2% of the time. Migrations can be approached using Arista PS as a high-precision, low-risk change by leveraging our methodologies and CloudVision-based migration practices. We can help to understand and mitigate specific risks by performing thorough planning, avoid many common mistakes that can occur if this isn't something that is done often, and apply all of this to your migration. Arista PS has performed many migrations. Some where even complex changes are implemented during normal business hours without any service disruption. Now with the network deployed and migrated, let's move on to day 2 network operations. Based on legacy network operational practices, many traditional networks come with a high degree of complexity that has to be reckoned with while trying to operate it. Many times this becomes a convoluted evolution of scripts and manual processes which are needed to address specific tasks or operational functions. Does your network operations cost increase as a function of scale and complexity? Or what if it could decelerate over time while you continuously benefit from better operational performance and efficiency? By deploying an Arista network aligned with our design and deployment practices and enabled with CloudVision, this sets us up for ongoing operations that leverage these same CloudVision capabilities. CloudVision supports many of the common monitoring and management workflows that are needed to operate an Arista network in a modern cloud operational model, leveraging many of the attributes and advantages of EOS and CloudVision. For example, while many traditional network operations are performed using protocols like SNMP, this polling-based mechanism doesn't provide a full view of what may be really happening in the environment. Most network operations tracks a finite set of MIBs or parameters using yesterday's polling-based protocols, so perhaps providing visibility to only a handful or two of attributes, say link up-down, CPU memory high-low, and so on. Contrast this with EOS's built-in full state database and state streaming telemetry, and it becomes possible to monitor the full state of the devices and the network behavior itself instead of just a subset of it. This telemetry data can be used for predictive analysis to identify preventative maintenance rather than simply waiting for some types of failures to build up and cause an outage. For example, before optical transponders fail, they typically will generate a signature. Light levels may change, voltage spikes, and so on. With pole-based monitoring every so often, these transient changes will be missed. But with Arista EOS and CloudVision, these can be detected via telemetry to event a proactive replacement. This is just one example of the types of things that can be monitored and used to enhance network operations. CloudVision CVP configlets used during deployment and migration can also be used for ongoing adds, moves, changes in the network to automate many common operational workflows, such as adding hosts and other frequent tasks. CloudVision also provides lifecycle management, software upgrades, compliance checking, and many other features that can be mapped directly to perform operational workflows. As these workflows become automated, this results in greater efficiencies gained over time, which can translate to network operations cost reductions and productivity gains by enabling network operations to work with precision and efficiency. To help migrate your network to this operations model, we have an operations optimization service to assist with operationalizing CloudVision for network ops workflows. The result of this is a deterministic, programmatic approach to achieving high network availability and reducing OpEx. I'll now hand it over to Alex to walk us through an example.
Okay, I'm going to go through an example of a PS operations optimization service engagement. These usually occur post-network deployment when there is already a number of Arista devices deployed in production using an Arista approved design. These usually entail customer working sessions where we evaluate customer operations tools and their current application environment. The goal here is to assist in streamlining the current operational workflows and processes. The result is a list of requirements or use cases, most of which can be accomplished using CloudVision. As you can see in the screenshot here, there's a diagram representing the current customer application collection for operations. This is a list of those use cases a customer might request in their operations environment. These use cases might currently be accomplished using legacy, homegrown, or third-party apps created by multiple organizations and internal developers. The list, as you can see, is inventory, configuration assurance, policy management, code thread identification, and tracking CVEs, capacity management, and performance monitoring and state change tracking. Note that these use cases come from customer-specific terminology and part of the exercise here is to map them to Arista-based solutions. This is an example of how we provide structure to a project. It's a standard project management exercise where we take the work to be done and track it based on proposed timelines. You can see that this is a straightforward method where we've used Smartsheets for this purpose. We also develop workflows and assist the customer in building runbooks based on operations requirements. We apply this part, the project management part, across all of our engagement types in professional services. The first use case is inventory. The customer needs inventory of the devices running in their production network along with detailed information about each. As opposed to legacy SNMP tools, CVP provides information based on a real-time state. There's also a screenshot of a detailed use case. We also validate and document our specific features in advance of deployment and during knowledge transfer. We document those test cases and results which prove out the given feature above and beyond the normal deployment documentation you might find on arista.com. So if there's any updates or recent changes to some feature, we cover that real time for the engagement. This is one of the features within the inventory page within CloudVision. You can sort by a given column, such as EOS code version or host name. It turns out to be alphanumeric, and you look at the arrow to see which way, whether or not it's ascending or in descending order. This is another capability within the inventory where you can actually enter in an abbreviated piece of a name or any of the column headings, and every item containing that abbreviation will be listed. This is the second use case. They want configuration assurance, which is a mechanism to quickly identify devices that may or may not be conformant to their intended configuration as designed. We have CloudVision Compliance Dashboard, which, among other things, shows the compliance of the devices that are configured in the network. So this chart all the way to the right contains the status of the configuration and image compliance of the devices. We compare the configuration originally set up within CloudVision based on the network design with what is actually on the production Arista devices. We call this compliance. If you find an issue, you can resolve it from within CloudVision and push it to the device, overriding any misconfiguration or any difference that you didn't expect, or you can actually pull configuration from the device and do what we call reconciling it and rename it and validate it as part of the design that you actually intend. The next one is policy assurance. One thing that you can do is ensure that operational policies are being followed and adhered to during pre- and post-deployment. The way to do this is network constraint events in CloudVision. You can set up a custom notification rules based on design parameters that you want to adhere to during the build and operationally post-deployment. Items such as number of peers, uplink capacity, or even the number of attached hosts can be chosen. The way you set this up is if you want to choose the pre-built design constraint by filtering on an abbreviated part of the name. Add a rule to customize it. Here you'd specify that you don't want under 2 uplinks from each of the leaves. And then you actually pick the devices that you want tracked. This feature will show you a list of the devices that it has pulled using the CloudVision topology functionality. The next one is actually code thread identification. Customers want to quickly identify devices or expose bugs or CVEs, common vulnerabilities and exposures, and this can be also accomplished in the CloudVision Compliance Dashboard. Simply observe the bug exposures and security advisory lists. You can actually, you would see this in the first 2 graphs where it says bug exposure and security advisories. If you want to, it also lists them below, and if you want to know more information about a particular CVE or bug, you simply click on it and it will expand and show you all of the information concerning that alert. The type, the version where it was found, the version where it's fixed, and the severity, so you can take action based on that. Next one is capacity management. This is interesting. It also includes something called predictive analysis, where it analyzes historical data to predict possible outages before they happen by alerting you when items such as IP routing tables or CPU are approaching a predefined threshold. The last use case is, in general, they want to provide visibility into all of the device performance and state over the network. This is accomplished using CloudVision telemetry. This is actually a broad requirement, and it is accomplished using, as I said, telemetry. Telemetry is enabled upon device import into CVP, so nothing additional needs to be configured or turned on. So immediately when you bring a device into CloudVision for deployment, telemetry is enabled. And what this is, it's full real-time streaming output that includes granular network and device statistics along with an accurate topology view. This also has a test case associated with it and covers a lot of information that can be looked over and analyzed in detail. So all of this information will be put into a document, and it will be turned over to the customer network engineering team for approval and review. So that's it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Alex. With the Day 2 operational workflows in place using CloudVision after deploying and migrating the network, we may want some additional enhancements to further enhance operations, automate additional custom workflows, or integrate with other third-party systems using the rich set of Arista APIs. This is where our EOS Plus software services capabilities come in. The EOS Plus software services team is able to deliver workflow automation software, software customizations, EOS extensions, custom CloudVision applications, and Arista third-party integrations that are lifecycle Arista TAC supported. With CloudVision in place, CloudVision becomes a platform for automation of the network. Here we have the full state of the Arista devices and network available through all of the telemetry from the network, a network provisioning control point for integration to the physical, virtual, and cloud infrastructure, and can use this for third-party integrations and turnkey and Day 2 oriented applications. There are a number of examples of some of the CloudVision applications and software produced by EOS Plus. But these range from EOS extensions and utilities to perform specific tasks, such as an IGMP snooping service, burst monitor, TWAMP client developed for some of our service provider customers, to ITSM integrations and seamlessly integrating third-party systems such as ServiceNow and Remedy to further automate workflows. EOS Plus has also created an automated network validation testing suite, as well as Arista Cloud Test, or ACT, which enables automated certification and on-demand pre- and post-change testing integrated with CVP change controls to validate network changes in a virtual cloud environment before they are applied in production to the network as part of a single change control workflow. Finally, how do we keep projects on track, and what are some examples of recent project outcomes Arista PS has delivered? Arista Professional Services can provide a full suite of structured program governance and project management services when needed. Next, I'll take us through a few recent case studies. This was a large telecommunications provider data center project where PS was engaged to perform a large-scale precision migration from a legacy data center technology to their new Arista EVPN fabrics. Due to the large footprint of the legacy installation, a rip and replace migration was required. With high SLA rates for mission-critical applications hosted in the data centers, we also needed to maintain during the migration. The design, deployment, and migration work resulted in a precisely developed migration procedure which could be automated and resulted in minimal service disruption and could guarantee high uptime during the migration. The migration procedure delivered a successful migration on time with no unexpected service disruptions or issues, and due to the ability to automate the procedure with CloudVision, the change window cadence was able to be accelerated during the project and the time required for each change successively reduced. Another example is this major film studio with multiple locations used for producing movies and television productions across multiple sites which each contain multiple buildings and form a campus layout. This customer required the ability to rapidly stand up new network infrastructure in response to new studio projects and to have a consistent, scalable design that could be automated and iterated across other locations around the world on demand as needed. By leveraging Arista's Spine, Campus Leaf, and wireless APs along with CloudVision provisioning and telemetry, the network was deployed on time and automated for the required workflows and automation and operations. We also have a Tier 1 service provider example. This is an ISP with a significant fiber network built through various acquisitions, and they wanted a turnkey PS engagement to consolidate those networks and develop a modernized, simplified operation stack to fully automate self-service network provisioning and operations. We were able to really leverage CloudVision automation to drive a lot of cost and effort required out of the network deployment and develop the integrations and automation required to deploy, migrate, and operate the network. And as our last case study, we have a cloud solution deployed by Arista PS for a leading consumer healthcare company. As this company deployed a cloud-native solution, they developed a few new requirements Arista Cloud EOS and Arista PS was able to help them solve. This included creating a solution that would simplify AWS networking for their existing network engineers and wouldn't require extensive Terraform experience, would be capable of supporting multi-cloud, both in the context of multiple regions and multiple cloud providers, and would integrate with their CI/CD pipeline as well as integrate with their existing SD-WAN provider. Arista PS automated their Cloud EOS Terraform template rendering and configlet creation for SD-WAN connectivity, and we're able to automate to integrate the solution into Azure DevOps build pipeline to dynamically create topologies within AWS and add future VPCs, as well as deploy Cloud EOS HA. With this project completed, the customer identified additional opportunities for Arista and PS to deploy further enhancements and optimizations. And with that, before we conclude, I'll quickly plug our ACSP program, which allows us to extend Arista PS beyond our own engineers through our ACSP partners, which helps to ensure consistent PS delivery and outcomes for all PS engagements. To enable this, we are delivering PS Service Delivery Engineering boot camps, which are available for senior Arista partner engineers to provide consistent training on Arista PS practices, methodologies, tools, and collateral, which is delivered globally through our ACSP program. This enables our ACSP partners to deliver consistent project outcomes when engaged on Arista PS projects.
Great, and as it looks like we have a few remaining minutes, now let's take some time for some questions. The first question is, how can Arista PS help me bridge the gap between my legacy data center infrastructure and my DevOps team to bring new applications to the market faster and seamlessly? This is a great question. With our deployment and migration network services, we can help not only deploy and operationalize your Arista environment, but through our EOS Plus and other integration service offerings, we can help integrate your network and other third-party systems such as VMware, ServiceNow, and other IT service management systems to automate many networking tasks and workflows to help coordinate the network seamlessly with other systems and applications. And these automated changes can even be validated through Arista Cloud Test to further speed up the process. This can cut standard long lead time manual processes down by automating them and allow for a much faster and simplified path to introducing new applications onto the network. Thanks for that. The next question is, my operations team is not good with CLI and would prefer a user interface for making day 2 changes to the network. Do you have a tool that we could use? The answer to that is that yes, we do. The EOS Plus team has developed Cloud Builder, and ultimately CloudVision Config Studios provides the tooling necessary to automate day 2 network changes with a simplified and customizable user interface. This can be used to automate many common day 2 tasks, such as toggling port status, modes, and other parameters, controlling VLANs, SVIs, EVPN, and so on. Our next question is, why should I use PS instead of my own internal team? There are a whole large number of reasons why this can be beneficial. The Arista PS is always willing to work in the most optimal capacity for your environment. We can do the work for you, we can do it with you, but in general, leveraging PS allows your team to focus on their backlog and add value to your organization. And the last question is, as a customer, should I come to Arista PS for services rather than depend on my VAR or system integration supplier? And does PS provide local resources for projects? Arista PS and our ACSP partners are both able to provide the skills, experience, and outcomes, and in many cases, Arista PS works seamlessly with our ACSP partners to ensure project success. There are many cases where the partner may possess additional expertise in other areas outside of Arista that may be relevant to your project, such as security, end-to-end ITSM, and other subject areas, where it could be significantly more efficient to deliver these end-to-end services through an ACSP partner, VAR, or system integrator. Arista PS does have a global team with PS engineering staff located across the world in the Americas, Europe, Asia. However, this reach is definitely extended through our ACSP partners while ensuring the same consistency and predictable project outcomes.
With that, in closing, thank you for joining the session today, and we look forward to working with you.